Okay, so I'm gonna. Okay. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. How are you, Julia?
I'm doing great, thank you. Can you please pronounce your name so I will be,
Oh yeah, my name is Iwona Posel.
Iwona, sounds good to me. Okay, I'm Julia. Iwona, we have just like 3 of us in here. Let's maybe wait for people to join,
Mm-hmm.
I saw you have really advanced
Topic, very specific, yes.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm talking about. So yeah, let's wait for some audience, I guess so. And you want me to remind you when it's going to be like 5 minutes till the end of the presentation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be good.
Okay, I will see how many questions we will have, because last time we had so many questions, like 5 minutes wasn't enough. And okay. You may try to pull your slides right now if you want to. Okay, so the attendees started to gather, which is nice. Hi, you there, guys. Yeah, let's wait like 1 or 2 minutes. Maybe people are late from previous sessions. Okay. Okay. So we have Iwona today. She's going to talk about why I like Tealium IQ libraries, which is really advanced topic, I guess. So we have like really, really smart people in the room here, right? So I guess Iwona, you can kick off. And please, guys, do not hesitate. Post your questions to the Q&A session, to the Q&A section, okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. And this presentation will be about the topic why I do like really Tealium IQ libraries. And yeah, hi, my name is Iwona Posel, and I do technical marketing and digital analytics at Eurostar. This means I work on digital implementation using Google Analytics 360, GTM, Google Tag Manager, Tealium IQ, and Tealium Audience Stream. Previously, I was at Channel 4 when I was taking care of Adobe Analytics implementation. I hope that you are my desired audience. I know it's quite intimate, small audience, and you are curious about working with Tealium IQ and libraries, and that you are some kind of technical. And hopefully the learnings I'm going to present will be applicable when using different tag management systems like Launch, Tag Manager. Yeah, let's chat after this presentation. And would you let me know how many of you have used Tealium IQ libraries? Maybe give me a thumbs up if you do. Quickly check. Yeah, 1 person. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, fantastic. And here is the quick agenda for today's talk. So I will do a quick overview of Tealium IQ libraries and profiles, go through deployment process and rollback process. And I'll have some action points and QA at the end, Q&A. And what's Tealium IQ? Tealium IQ is a client-side tag management system developed by Tealium. It works with Tealium customer data platform, Audience Stream, that is called Audience Stream. And first of all, I would like to give you a super quick overview of what profiles and libraries are, because both of profiles and libraries are two containers for tag extensions and data layer variables. But library is a subset of the functionality of the profile. It's a module in the programming terms that can be inherited by a number of profiles, and it has only default environments. So it's QA, dev QA, and prod. A profile can be published to a number of custom environments as well. And here is an example of a problem that we are going to solve with libraries. We are simply extracting into a library this functionality that can be self-contained. And this functionality could be something like the whole Google Analytics stack with its data layer variables, firing rules and extensions, or a Facebook tag with, again, with its data layer variables, firing rules and extensions. And here is another example of how we can look at this. So the libraries become our building blocks for the profiles. So let's say these profiles ABC are published on different parts of our website. Profile A contains only Google Analytics library, profile B, Google Analytics and Facebook, and whereas profile C, we've got all those three, so Google Analytics, Facebook, and Snapchat Pixel. And with this approach, we'll get profiles ABC that are leaner, smaller, consistent, and really much easier to maintain. Yeah, libraries came with caveats, so yeah. But yeah, let's talk about pros and cons first. So libraries become the only source of truth. One version of the same tag is implemented across profiles, and it becomes much easier to develop and test the library in one profile and test it in deploy in other profiles. This will make it much easier to update and keep everything in sync. And libraries, yeah, of course, they come with the caveats. They can be tricky to roll back if you don't have a process in place. I will tell you about my proposed process later. They can cause race conditions within a profile if you have to handle changes from other recently updated libraries and really need to publish them to production. Yeah, and they are really awful to collaborate on. It needs to be the one person that works on one library per sprint, pushing all those changes through environments. Otherwise, it's getting messy. And the most common variables will be repeated across libraries. We cannot really avoid the situation when, for instance, a variable page name will be repeated in Google Analytics, Facebook, and Snapchat library.
Hey, Iwona, can you reload the presentation? Because I actually can see permission slide right now, but
oh yeah,
there are attendees who can see just first slide.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe I can represent. Yeah.
Try to reload it or represent it. I don't know.
Okay, sure.
If you don't mind, sorry for interruption.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, thanks for that. Oh yeah, now it's started from the.
Okay.
And pros and cons. Can you see pros and cons of libraries now?
You gotta share right now.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries.
That was on.
Please share. Okay, so right now we can see pros and cons of libraries. Please put your thumb up if you can see it. Okay.
Oh, yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. Please go ahead. Sorry about that.
I will share the presentation afterwards. I think there will be, it will be shared widely with other presenters' presentations.
Fine.
Yeah, so our libraries. So we've got those pros and cons, but in my opinion, yeah, pros are kind of that outweigh all the pluses outweigh minuses. Okay, permissions. So what I really like about Tealium IQ, it's the very granular permission management. You need really explicit permissions for specific libraries and even for specific actions within a library, as well as library environments. So here, for instance, I cannot really add users to any of the libraries because I don't have this permission at all. But I can do the rest of the stuff, and also I can publish to all environments. And this one is the screen where you link libraries to the profiles, and an example of a library for Tealium collect tag. Yeah, always remember to link to a library to the correct version, in the correct version. And libraries can be optional or required. I find required option quite tricky. Even with a required across the board library like Google Analytics tag, I would make it optional. So you would have the full control of how and where is included. And this screen shows you how to create a profile. And pro tip here, if you have a master profile with all the variables, rules, etc., you can easily copy this stuff from here to your new profile. Yeah, but don't do this actually. Just use libraries for these purposes, because otherwise you have only just copy of your stuff. And that's another screen how you create a library. And this could be optional or required, as I mentioned before. And these useful checkboxes here that allow you to copy elements from the selected profile, and that's accounts in this case. So you can also create a library based on the profile variables and concept manager and other stuff. And this brings me to the deployment process. So that's my ideal deployment process. Once you have a Google Analytics library, which is in progress, let's say I've just added a couple of custom dimensions and a couple of custom metrics, I can save this as a deployment version. And then I'm going to test it on profile A. So I need to link it to the profile A in the version. And these changes won't be included in profile B because this one is linked to production version of this library. So that's why I'm going to test only on profile A. And once these changes are tested and ready to QA, I save the library as a QA version. Nothing is happening here because none of these profiles is linked to this version. So I need to link it. And then when I link profile A in QA version, I will see those changes in profile A, and which will be ready to be published on dev and QA environments just for QAing. And finally, when I'm really sure everything is QA'd and ready for the production environment, I can save GA library as production version. Profile A and B are already linked to production version of this library, so both are getting the desired changes. Yeah, in an ideal world, we could have custom environments for libraries. So we could add one more, let's say, custom environment called beta that would sit between, let's say, between QA and production. And with this beta, yeah, because we could, maybe we could link Google Analytics library to profile A as a beta version, and then publish the whole profile A to production. And this approach would allow us to do some kind of canary testing, canary release on production, however, only on profile A. And in my ideal world, I would keep dev QA only for deployment processes, just not really for testing on production. And this one, the slide brings us to rollback process. let's say there is an issue with GA library on production. We need to really roll back to the last correct production version immediately. And ideally, we would be following the correct deployment process just to find the last working production version, save this as a dev, then after testing as a QA, and finally as a production version. And yeah, on this slide, I'm just skipping these steps here. And profiles A and B have the previous production version of the library. So all our production environment is kind of safe. And then we can work on the fix. So once we develop the fix in dev environment, we can follow the deployment process again. So fix on the slide, yeah, it's in profile A on dev now. And this is the case when profile A is locked for changes until the fix is ready, QA'd and ready for production. So it's one of those race conditions I mentioned. And we are on QA steps here. So I've already saved my fix to QA version. And profile A is still locked. If I had production changes from other libraries in profile A, at this point, it basically it will be impossible to test those changes from other libraries in isolation. And this is one of the cases of race conditions I mentioned before. In the ideal world, it would be great to have this additional custom environment beta for library. In this case, the previous correct version would be saved as a beta and would go to profile A or as a canary. We would push this to production, where we could keep it for a bit longer until it's ready to the really wider rollout as a production version. Oh yeah, and this one, yeah, the slide brings me to another suggestion to Tealium on how useful would be to have the opportunity of a library just A/B testing, but within the same profile A, so which would be used on the same part of the website. I'm not quite sure how this can be achieved, but maybe let's brainstorm some solutions after the presentation when we have a time for discussion. Oh yeah, that brings me to summary. In summary, I really find libraries helpful. Hope you find them too. Please use them as your building blocks for separate functionality. And then you will build your profile only with those building blocks, only with libraries. And please follow the correct deployment process, save as dev version, test internally, save as a QA, test on QA staging environment, and once fully tested, push to production. And this will help you to save your sanity. And here are resources I would like to share with you. So that's a link to the documentation page about profiles and libraries on Community Tealium, a link to Tealium Education Portal, where you find online courses and Tealium certification. Another link to Search Discovery Education Community and Peter Mayer's presentation on Tealium IQ. I've got 2 more Peter's resources. So that's MeasureCamp presentation and his blog post on CXL blog about Tealium IQ. And I've got some action points, action items for you. Please go to Tealium IQ and create your first library, and you haven't tried. Please check resources, and please stay in touch with me and share your feedback after this presentation. Be active in Measure Slack community. Yeah, I need to be active as well. And maybe soon have a MeasureCamp talk about Tealium products. I think it's a bit, Tealium is a bit niche, but it would be great to hear about other experiences that people have with Tealium IQ, audience stream, event stream, these products. So yeah, that's this is the time for discussion.
Okay, thank you, Iwona. Let's everybody thank Iwona for the wonderful presentation. And we have a question from Kevin. How would you deal with the libraries and the process you describe when the team is bigger than one person?
Okay, so that's yeah, I think maybe I had a slide for that, but maybe I just skipped over it. So from my experience, it would be only one person can work on one library per sprint. So we won't really have this race conditions when two people try to modify something within the same library, because then process is not really clear. Where should I test it? Who will change? Who will save changes? And yeah, that would be ideal. So hopefully, yeah, the ticket or the fix or something you need to develop with library, it will be enough for one sprint, so one person can pick it up. And yeah, it's another issue when you really have to push a library to production and there are other people working on other profiles and that will receive this production version of libraries. But if you follow the process, so if you have those building blocks defined correctly in the first place, yeah, you shouldn't really get much issues. Hope that answered the question, Kevin.
Yeah.
I've got some questions. So do you really like libraries? So what's your experience with Tealium libraries?
Okay.
So maybe you can bring someone on the stage if.
Yeah. Okay.
If people are willing.
I can do it myself here, but thanks. So I think I've worked with IQ since 2012, 13, I guess. I think libraries are a great functionality. What I find difficult around them is that one of the key reasons I think why companies should choose IQ is because it's, in my view, a lot more enterprise ready than, for example, Google Tag Manager or Adobe Launch. And there is much more options in there to use it in a more enterprise kind of a company with multiple users. You've explained that with the permissions you can give out, versioning, stuff like that is a lot nicer in Tealium compared to GTM or worse, Launch. However, the whole process around libraries and working with multiple people at the same time in the same library or the same profile, in Audience Stream it's a complete mess, but in IQ it's doable, but it's very difficult, especially exactly like you explained, if you have multiple people working in the same profile or in the same library at the same time. It makes it very, very difficult and complicated. I've been a product owner for a team that was, I think, 6 people large that were all working in IQ all at the same time. And we really, really had to make a very clear process, even more elaborate than the one you explained, where we really had to make sure that nobody was working at the same time in the same profile and library. So in my view, even though the idea of libraries is great, and in Google Tag Manager, the 360 version, you have zones, which is sort of just doing the same thing. But there's a lot that can be done from a Tealium perspective to enhance the experience a bit and to optimize the flow around it. So yes, I like it, but on the other hand, it's still got a lot of room for optimization and improvement.
I totally agree, especially with the point you made about Audience Stream, because yeah, permissions over there actually working concurrently is impossible.
I can have a whole session where I can rant about Audience Stream.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, we should have one. Yeah, and so I was curious, how if you use Adobe Launch Tag Manager, I think they've got extensions, so there's a kind of libraries. So how's the deployment and rollback process? How is it different? If you have experience, that would be quite interesting to know.
Yeah, it's I don't know Launch as well as I know GTM or Tealium, but the experience I do have from it is that it's a lot less elaborate compared to IQ and GTM. I find it maybe it's because I haven't used it as often as GTM or Tealium, but I find Launch just a bit more clunky and less user friendly, if that makes any sense. It gives me a lot less easy an overview of, okay, this is the changes in terms of versioning, or this is what's happening underneath the hood. And in GTM and Tealium, I can do that much easier. But then again, that might also be because I just have less experience in Launch compared to the other ones. But yeah, that's a bit my feeling there. How's your experience with that, Iwona?
Yeah, my Launch experience was quite a long time ago, but yeah, actually, I was only one person, so it was kind of easy not to follow any process.
Well, even if it's just one person, it's still wise and useful to follow a process, especially in tag management tools like Tealium or GTM. It's still very useful to adhere to those.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have any other questions? Or
no, it was a great overview. So thank you very
fantastic.
much. Nicely done.
Yeah,
thank you,
everybody. Thank you for joining, guys. And see you on the following sessions. Yeah, bye.
Thank you. Bye.